Next, let us look at the various types of socialization. There are 5 main types of socialization, which are primary, secondary, developmental, anticipatory, and resocialization. Now, from your exam point of view, primary socialization and secondary socialization are very, very important because very frequently we see questions asking us to identify which are primary or secondary types of socialization. Now, primary socialization normally happens at home, and this happens through parents or the family. So this is the first type of socialization that happens to any child. And secondary socialization normally happens outside the house. That is, it can happen at school, it can happen when the child is interacting with his or her peers, and it can happen when the child is watching some media, or that is, the child is watching some TV or watching something on YouTube or reading something on the internet. So secondary socialization normally happens through sources outside the house. Now, I have highlighted media here specifically because in some research papers, it is said that media is also a primary source of socialization because the child is normally exposed to media at home. But from your syllabus perspective, media is under secondary socialization. So remember, primary socialization normally happens at home from parents and family, and secondary socialization is because of sources outside the house, that is school, peers, and media. The other 3 types of socialization are not so important from your syllabus perspective. However, we should still know about them. Now, developmental socialization is where you are learning a formal skill or a definite type of skill because you are expecting some situation, some social situation that will require the use of such skills. For example, if I have to give a public speech, then I might enroll in English speaking classes because I want to be comfortable in speaking English. I might enroll in public speaking classes because I want to be comfortable in talking to a wider audience. Therefore, this is developmental socialization where I'm learning a specific social skill in a formal environment. Next is anticipatory socialization. Anticipatory socialization is where a person is practicing or rehearsing a behavior for a future relationship or a future social situation, and this is informal in nature. For example, when I am going to join a new office, right, or I'm going to meet some new people, so I might stand in front of the mirror and rehearse. How am I going to introduce myself to them? How am I going to interact with them? How am I going to stand? So if I'm practicing something informally, some type of behavior, in the anticipation of some future social situation or a future social relationship, that is anticipatory socialization because you're anticipating or expecting something. And the last one is resocialization. Now, resocialization happens when you have learnt some type of social skills through any other modes, and you have to forget or you have to outgrow those particular behaviors and learn some new behaviors because you are going to a different place. For example, if a person is in India, right? Normally, if I have to drop into my friend's house, I don't need to be so formal. I just drop into his place, I go, I open the door, I ask him, chalo chalte hain, let's go out. Right? So that's the type of social interaction or social behavior that might be acceptable in India. But if a person goes to US or to a different country, maybe Singapore, right? There, if you have to even drop into your friend's house, or in some cases, even when you are dropping into your parents' house, right? You are expected to call or communicate with the people earlier and make sure that they are available at home and make sure that they are okay to receive guests, and only then you can drop into their house, and you cannot drop into anybody's house unannounced or without prior notice. So that is the kind of behavior that is acceptable in that country, whereas in India it might be a lot less formal. Therefore, an Indian who's relocating to any of this country might need to reject the previous behavior patterns and learn some new patterns. So that is resocialization. Just to reiterate, primary and secondary socialization are very, very important. So these are the 2 types of socialization that you should be thoroughly familiar with. You will definitely see at least one question based on these, and the others you can ignore.